Okay, we are now going to have our final speaker for this morning, and then we'll move to lunch at noontime. I'd like to introduce Lise Desormeaux of RMR Home Staging in Atlanta, Georgia. She is founder and CEO. Prior to founding RMR in 2002, Lise was a VP for a real estate development company. And building on this experience, Lise developed RMR and has successfully helped in the sale of hundreds of homes by adding value through staging. Lise?
All right, so today I need my glasses, so if I keep going back and forth and pausing, please forgive me. But what I want to talk about today is helping you instill in a seller the value of home staging. And there's two parts to this session. I'll first describe how to sell the value in a listing presentation, and then how to avoid the pitfall of trying to do the staging yourself or being asked to do the home staging, which can happen when you're promoting something. So a person's home is their most valuable asset, and you really can turn pennies to dollars when you stage a home. And you can do this in either market, whether it's a robust market like it was when I started RMR in 2002, or the market condition that we're in today, which we all know sellers are more aware today of home staging than they ever were in 2002. But believe it or not, it's easier to sell today because of the awareness. In 2005, HGTV came out with a show called Designed to Sell. In 2006, they then followed up with Secret Sell. In 2007, they followed up with Get It Sold. In 2008, The Stagers, which, by the way, is my favorite. Filmed in Vancouver, British Columbia, and from Canada, where I'm from. But the good news about HGTV spending millions of dollars is it's helping you, the realtor, with the awareness factor, which we just didn't have in 2002. But I can tell you, you can sell the value in either market. How I sold it in a robust market was I was able to tell a seller that here's an opportunity for you to be the highest priced home in your neighborhood. And even though homes are selling faster, you can do it in half the time or less in a good market. And in a bad market, how you sell it is, okay, so we're in bad times. But the name of the game here in a bad time is to get out without too much pain. So here's an opportunity for you to sell for more than less you would if you weren't staging, and you can still sell in less time. And if you really think about it, the condition of the market allows for this supply and demand to be an issue where you have just far too much supply for the demand, and the competition is huge. And if you look at home staging as retailing a product, and if you sell to your seller the idea that this is not your home anymore, this is now a product. Consider how retailers retail products. For example, walk through the shopping mall, and what you see walking down the mall are window dressings. And the window dressings are the lure into the store. But it doesn't stop there. And if we're going to compare, the window dressing is the landscaping and the exterior of the home. But when you go inside the department store, each and every department is merchandised to lure that consumer who's interested in makeup or clothing or shoes into those departments. So the departments are, in fact, the rooms in a house. And so when you look at it as a business transaction, and I seriously do, I'm not a decorator. I've never been a decorator. I've been a realtor, and I've worked in real estate my entire life. My father was a builder. I look at this as a very serious business transaction. And when you help your sellers look at it that way too, then you can have a successful outcome in the sale of the home. Now, a person, one thing that I've always found interesting about the sale of a home is if you look at a seller's net worth, his most valuable asset, typically for most Americans, is going to be his real estate, more so than his investments or any other asset that he has. But what's always interesting to me, and a great analogy that I use, that I welcome you to use with your sellers, is Have you ever considered that a seller of a car will put hundreds of dollars into the sale of that automobile? And it's a depreciating asset. It's also an asset with a blue book value, unlike real estate. So they naturally think to put hundreds of dollars into an automobile, but not into a house. And if you're translating dollars, we should be talking thousands of dollars. So building on that, you want to show them the money, whether it's a good market or whether it's a bad market. So both markets offer you this opportunity, and you'll never convince them without the proof. And HomeGain, I want to thank very much for making my life much easier in '02, when awareness was not on my side, in helping me with their survey, their home sale maximizer, because with that survey, I had the proof. I had the proof that there was a return on investment. So here you can see that everything in this in the categories of the projects that a home seller does are actually home staging techniques. Although they have a separate line for stage home for sale, what they're talking about here is the candles in the master bedroom or the place setting at a bar in the kitchen. So, but everything on here is actually preparing that product, that retail product, for sale. And there isn't one on here that doesn't have a return on investment. So if you're not using this amazing survey, I would definitely use it. It's 121% is your lowest ROI, and the highest is 578%. And this is one thing that they can do themselves with a little information on DIY, how to do it. And that's 578% just to clean and declutter your home. Now, this is an interesting category because a lot of sellers say, well, I live in this house, and people know that. When they come to see my home, they know, well, not today's consumers. 84% want a move-in ready home. They're willing to pay more for it, too. So this very simple, easy thing that, if I leave my dishes in my sink, it won't matter because they know that I live here. That's just not true. It's not true and won't be because our consumer demand requires more of us. Hi, I'm Lise Desormeaux, founder of RMR, Real Estate Marketing Results. My business is home staging. Welcome to another valuable staging tip to help you get on the successful road of selling your home for maximum value in the least amount of time. Most sellers are tempted to feel that since they're selling their home and moving into a new one, they don't want to invest more money into the property being sold. The common school of thought is they want to save their money for the new, more expensive or larger home. What these sellers don't realize is the valuable opportunity that staging a home for sale offers. In 2007, HomeGain conducted a survey of 1,000 agents nationwide who reported that overall prices of a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home after spending between $5,000 to $8,000 on home improvement and staging efforts resulted in a return of investment of more than 150%. Considering this, it makes more sense to make the investment and garner an even bigger cash payout to spend on the new home. There's a saying that it takes money to make money, and this HomeGain survey surely proves, or at least suggests, this tip is a money-making opportunity. So, how do you get a lazy seller off the fence? Sometimes that's a little tough, unless you can explain the value. So I want to help you do that in your listing presentation. First of all, we all know that your first 30 days are your most important days. And we all know that preparing the home prior to this is your best approach. You know this, but now you've got to convince the seller. And the best way to convince the seller is something I read from Tony Robbins years ago in his book, Unleash the Giant Within. where he said people make decisions always 100% of the time based on two emotions. One is pain and one is pleasure. The interesting thing about that, when a person is faced with having to choose one or the other, pain will be the reason they decide to do something over pleasure. So although a seller may want to sell their home, sometimes you got to get them over the pain of spending the money in order for them to do that. So how do you do that? Well, you want to tell them what will happen if they don't. You want to tell them how much time, money, and anguish a listing can present you, and a home unsold can present a seller over time. And when I was an agent, have you ever felt a lifeless listing? It's pretty depressing and frustrating, particularly when you're doing all you can to sell the home. So what you want to do is maximize these first 30 days. In the first 30 days, you want to explain to them that there's an agent caravan. And in the agent caravan are agents who will come view who obviously would like to sell a home. Now, when your home's easier to sell, they'll come back with their buyers. You also want to explain to a seller that 84% of people are looking online first. If that picture or the group of pictures that you're presenting to the public and buyers are not pristine, of quality, and if the rooms don't look good, chances are they'll never make it to the front door. So explaining the pain this way will help them get it. Now, last night someone offered a question to me that asked, do you have any statistics? If you have your pens ready, I do. They're not on here, but I wrote some up this morning really fast so that I could help you, and they're right back there. You asked me for statistics? Here we go. National Association of Realtors says that a home sold after 6 weeks sells for 6% less than a home sold in the first 30 days. That's your commission. That's their fee to sell that house. So there's one very good reason. U.S. Housing and Urban Development reports that a staged home will sell on average 17% higher than an unstaged home. Now, that's really making an ROI. Coldwell Banker conducted a survey of 2,800 homes nationwide, and what they found was that a staged home will sell in half the time that an unstaged home will. So those are some, here's the proof, where's the money, strategies for you to use when trying to promote the idea of getting the house prepared. So the last part of your presentation is now about the pleasure. You've described the pain, now let's give them the pleasure. And what you want to do here is you want to tell them about your success stories if you've had any. If you don't have any or don't have at least 3, then I suggest you go online in your area. Stagers have this amazing knack of blogging. They do it a lot. They like to report their success stories. There will be dozens. Another strategy would be to call some of the local staging companies and find out what success stories they've had in the last 30 days. Keep these success stories fresh. Don't tell people what happened in 2006. It's not going to impress them because we know those were better. That was a better time, or 5 or 4. So you can use as many testimonials as you like, and you can leave them behind, but I recommend that you sit there in your presentation and tell them about 3. And I think you'll have a much higher success rate in getting that home staged. And what I recommend that you ask your seller to do is either do it himself with some DIY information for those lower-end properties that really don't have the money. And then for your higher-end properties, you can recommend that they hire a stager. This is segment 2 of this session, where I'd like to help you be the hero so you can get more referrals and avoid the pitfalls of being asked to do the home staging yourself. Has anyone in the room been asked to declutter and depersonalize a home? I know when I was an agent in the 80s, I did it all the time. I didn't know, or nor would you have, what home staging was, but I was spending a lot of time staging when I could have been selling houses. And that's just not what I wanted to do. So you are a hero. You are the answer to their problem. You have the information, and you're a professional. When I was an agent, one of the difficulties I had in trying to sell the idea of getting their house ready was if I was competing against other agents, what they felt of me when I was more honest and more real with them was that I didn't have the capacity, the desire, or the faith in their real estate. Because most sellers moving into this, I find, are over-enthusiastic, right? So if I'm the one of 3 realtors that they're interviewing who says, hey, this property's not going to cut the mustard, well, guess what? They were picking another agent who wasn't as honest or forthright as I was. Well, I'd like you to avoid that. What you can do is recommend staging and not be the person who delivers the news. Here we have a real estate pro from Atlanta who will talk about that very thing in this news story.
Channel 2 Action News. Coverage you can count on.
And selling your home in a down market can be daunting. The techniques some local sellers are using to set their homes apart from the rest. Next.
With few exceptions, home sales and prices in Metro Atlanta are down. In Southwest Atlanta, the median price of homes fell 23% last year. Even in some affluent in-town neighborhoods, sales are down 41%. The bad news in the real estate market is good news for some. One example, it's called home staging. Channel 2's Diana Davis reports.
The for sale sign has been up for 120 days.
It's incredibly stressful, so I'm very worried about it. Very honestly, I'm very worried about it.
Jenny Smith and her husband are moving out of state. They need to sell fast.
And there's a lot of houses on the market now, so there's a lot to choose from.
Houses are taking probably twice as long to sell.
Hi, Jenny. I'm Lise. How are you?
I'm good.
The Smiths have turned to a relatively new entrant in the real estate business, professional home stagers.
About 5 years ago, no one knew what staging was, and now they're coming to us.
They're paid to help sellers make sometimes small changes, from paint color to decluttering, changes that will showcase the home to hopefully make it sell faster.
But if you remove everything, then the buyer can see how much they could do with it.
It's expensive, starting at about $1,000, but homeowners desperate to sell are paying.
We're getting 150% return on investment.
Many of the homes medium priced.
Actually, I do everything from $150,000 and up.
The stagers are often hired late in the game when advice realtors have given to homeowners is ignored.
You can leave a few items on the bottom.
So it helps to have a third person.
Some of the advice provided by stagers may seem painfully obvious, but realtors say it's those obvious changes that make the difference between a house selling and staying on the market.
So you're the pro, and you are the real estate transactor. You will help that seller perform the transaction. And you should stick to this. And I'm not suggesting that I'm not here as a home stager trying to say, don't do my job. But what I'm trying to say is when you have that team, the job gets performed a lot more efficiently. It happens a lot faster, and that benefits you and your seller. And the business of selling real estate, in my mind, at least when I did it, and I still believe today, is very, very serious business, and you're the pro for that. So a realtor's best step forward, I think, in this mindset is to be knowledgeable about everything. I don't know how many times I was asked, do you know a good lawn guy? Do you know a good electrician? Do you know? Well, here again, you're the go-to guy. And so I would research your market for the most reputable home staging companies. And one of my rule of thumb is not 3 references, but 5. the more that home stager can give you for references, you interview them first like a seller would so that you'll know what your seller is going to hear on the other end of that phone call. And be part of the process, because a lot of what I do is also in the market trend and research. So I need from you the valuable information that a realtor has about who the target market is. What, should I do an office in this home or should I do a girl's bedroom? Are the schools good or are they not? So get involved in this process with the stager. Don't leave yourself out. In other words, don't say to the seller, here's some names and go for it, and then come back after the stager's finished. Stay involved so that stager can use your information to help the seller. Now, recently I've been reading a book. You might have heard of it already. It's called Free, The Future of a Radical Price. And I like it, apparently. You can see the little tabs everywhere. I really believe in free, and I give out a lot of free information. I do blog. I produced dozens, literally, of free staging tips, just like the HomeGain one that you saw. And I'm offering to you today something free, a produced staging tip that you can put on your website. And it has some advantages for you. And, of course, I get to expose myself. I'm selling a national DIY product, so I get to be on your website. It helps me, but more importantly, it helps solidify the idea to your seller that this is a good idea. And it helps you to look like the professional that you've done your research. And more importantly, it keeps buyers and sellers on your website longer. Videos are a proven method of keeping people on your website for a longer period of time than if you didn't have it. So success breeds success. You will look like the expert. Your videos that I can give you, we have a number of them. If you want them to change monthly or if you want to keep the same one, that's absolutely fine. You can, rotate them for more interest, especially if you have people coming back. And by recommending it, you're assuring your clients a certain level of success based on the statistics that we offered earlier. So here's another video, an example. Hi, I'm Lise Desormeaux, founder of RMR, Real Estate Marketing Results. My business is home staging. Welcome to another valuable staging tip to help you get on the successful road of selling your home for maximum value in the least amount of time. In today's internet world of technology and online property searches, more often than not, potential busy home buyers are selecting properties they want to see online first while making their selections. Pictures of properties that don't look attractive are being passed over for staged properties whose photos look inviting and appealing. One other fact commonly known in the real estate world is agents prefer showing staged properties over others because these properties provide a certain level of assurance that their buyers will at the very least enjoy the tour, if not the home. Staged properties increase the chances of the agent's success in finding a property a buyer will fall in love with. After all, staging is about packaging a product that appeals to everyone and is in high demand. So, by the way, the videos, although grainy here on a bigger screen, are actually in HD quality. I've got some on my laptop if anyone wants to see what it would look like on your website. And you just have to contact me. I came with a lot of business cards. So if you do want one of these videos, you can ask me for a card, send me an email, and I'll send you one back. I can send you the titles, and you can pick from whichever one you want. Are there any questions? Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So if you have a seller's page, that's probably the best place to put it. Mm-hmm. And there's all kinds of tips, like how to fold towels, like how to stage the exterior, the points that you... So there's a variety that you can choose from. Lighting. There's even one on how to do each room.
Okay. Thank you.
I believe in free. Give out as much information as possible. Cost is really the only reason people don't do it. I think today the awareness is so strong. I mean, there's a few people I run into that say, what is it? But it's very rare. In 2002, everyone was saying, I was a teacher, not a stager. Everyone was saying it. So no, today it's mostly cost. And that is the biggest problem because everyone's trying to hang on to their dollars right now. So if you've got to explain the pain and the return on investment, the pain and the pleasure. You have to. And when they can see that, I mean, gosh, it's your one opportunity. It's your most valuable asset. Why wouldn't you? To me, why wouldn't you? I do. It's coming out the end of August, and it's called Home Staging 101. It's about 59 minutes, and it is on how to stage a home. It's for the renovator, it's for the vacant property owner, and the occupied property owner. Actually, we do that in RMR. We have 5 services. They do include renovation and kitchen and bathroom redesigns and house redesigns. And yeah, that is, in my mind, and always has been, staging, because in my mind, it's preparing a product for market. And if your kitchen's outdated, then get on the bandwagon. And let's get it right. And it can be as simple as changing out your appliances and your drawer pulls, or it could be as complex as redoing the entire kitchen. And it, so it depends. It really depends on that homeowner. But as far as, if I'm answering your question correctly, that is staging and that is part of the market. And yes, she's correct in offering that with the rest of her services. But I will say this, and I'm sure she's made some transitions. She has to have if she's in the staging world. But designers are different than stagers. Designers take into consideration a seller's color palette, their lifestyle, what their needs are in the home, and so they design it around the person. Well, this is flip the script on staging, because we're not wanting, the fact is, and I don't mean this in a bad way, I don't really care about the seller's desires. What I care about are the architectural accents of the home and how I can enhance it. So the home becomes the client. I'm asking the house, what do you need? And so yeah, it's all within that market. Did I answer your question? Okay. When you're interviewing them, so that you can now pass them on to your sellers, you want to know their 5 most recent sales, or in other words, homes that have sold. You want days on market. It's the bad thing about home staging is we really can't tell in every case how much a home sold for, but if there were offers on the home prior to the stager's arrival, you can use that as the difference between the home, how it would have sold unstaged and how it would have sold staged, or how it did rather sell staged. So you want to know their last 5 success stories, and you want to speak to the agent in particular because you're speaking the same language. What you're going to get a feel for is how easy was this person to work with. And one of the nicest compliments I think I ever got from an agent was, Lise doesn't get her nose in a joint when I ask her to do something. And remember earlier I talked about stay involved? I really do count on the agent, only because I have so much respect having been one. And I know that you know things I don't know about this house. So you want to make sure that this person can work with you, and asking the realtor who worked with them the last, the 5 different realtors is going to give you a really good feel for how cooperative this person is, or knowledgeable, really.
All right, thank you. Thanks for all the great questions, and thanks, Lise, for your great session. Thank you.